unlocking your world of creativity with best-selling author and brand innovator, Mark Stinson. This episode is brought to you by White Cloud Coffee Roasters, where every bean tells a story of adventure. Visit whitecloudcoffee.com and use the code CREATIVITY.
Welcome back, friends, to our podcast, Your World of Creativity. We're continuing our around-the-world travels, talking to creative practitioners everywhere about how we get inspired and how we organize ideas and, of course, how we make the connections and gain the confidence to get our work out into the world. And today, we're going to talk about a topic that's close to all our hearts, and that's thriving, finding purpose, vitality, and joy. And, of course, those of you who know me know that I love to smile and keep some joy in our world. And my guest is the same. Rand Selig is my guest. Rand, welcome to the show.
Mark, hey, it's so great to be with you. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And besides an accomplished investment banker, I see that entrepreneur, coach, even Scoutmaster are on your CV. A hands-on conservationist. All these things find a real balance of analytical and business, but also human understanding and fun in everything you do.
That's really true. But I don't say balance anymore. I say integration because balance sounds to me too much like teeter-totter, where if you're emphasizing one thing, you're not emphasizing the other thing. For me, I've been very intentional about an integration of a number of things that and they actually feed on each other and give me energy. People often say, Rand, how could you be doing all these things and be doing them so well? I say, because they provide fuel. They give me, I sleep so well at night, feeling good about what I did during the day and looking forward to tomorrow's new challenges and opportunities.
So good. Rand is the author of an award-winning book called Thriving: How to Create a Healthier, Happier, and More Prosperous Life. And I guess on the surface, it sounds like quite a motivational book, but this is 333 pages. It's a how-to guide of thriving, real practical guidance. And I think I wanted to start with one particular concept, Rand. That is the power of choice, that we make these intentional choices and decisions that can completely reshape the day, reshape our lives. What inspired you to put down these ideas?
My book comes from the life I've lived, but also probably thousands of people that I've worked with or watched closely to see what was going on in their lives that made them struggle or led them to have a fulfilling, meaningful life and be thriving. And at the heart of all this, I discovered something I knew internally, which was thriving, getting on that path is about making choices. Choices about how we spend our time, who we're spending our time with, what our habits are, both the good ones as well, I'm sorry to say, the bad ones. You got to take a look. And then our feelings are choices too. People say they're surprised sometimes when I say that. I say, yeah, I know they happen quickly. It's a quick instantaneous thing that you're feeling, and sometimes you can hold on to it, sometimes it goes away quickly, but they're choices. And my prime example is being positive. I am relentlessly positive. It's a choice I make all the time. Being grateful would be another choice.
And some people say this kind of positivity, I know that sometimes my optimism can get the best of me. But truly being able to build resilience is turning these obstacles into opportunities. There's no question we're all going to face hurdles and potholes during our time. But you've practiced turning these around into both entrepreneurial and personal opportunities, haven't you?
I really have. I've reinvented myself. I've been a lifelong learner, which means also learning from my mistakes. I brought my best self forward as often as I can, which means being creative. We're going to dive into that, I'm sure, given the nature of your podcast. Yeah, resilience, having grit. I attribute my business career success first and foremost to being mentally tough and having a lot of grit, which is also the resilience. Part of resilience is right in that mix.
And I called it a practical guide because you share with us some favorite tools, some mindset shifts. You mentioned these habits and choices that we have to make. Well, what are some that might stand out for you that our listeners might appreciate?
I think the starting place for just about everybody is you got to know yourself. You got to become self-aware. And in my book, in the early part of the book, first section is thriving personally. It's a whole investigation as to what are you all about? And there's some tests like, are you introverted or extroverted? As a test, and I will link to the test. There's a look at something called adverse childhood experiences, ACE, which is really an impactful thing. It's a score from 0 to 10 and yes, no answers. If these things happen to you before you're age 18, if you score a 4 or more, yes, you went to bed hungry. Yes, one of your parents was MIA. These kinds of things, there was abuse of whatever type. If you score 4 or more, there's an 85% lifelong chance that you'll have lifelong mental or physical problems. So I invite people to take a look at that too. Even if you score low on it, I score a 3, just taking a look at what were those adverse experiences. And so getting to know yourself, getting to know what's holding you back, just is the first section of then being able to move forward.
And this one word title, thriving, yes, very motivational, but you also have an underpinning of science behind this idea of thriving. And I think about, we say infants are thriving, or plants are thriving, even forests, oceans are thriving. Certainly, your background with psychology and mathematics and business might give you a different viewpoint on, I would say, a scientific approach to thriving. What did you bring?
I appreciate that. I like to say I picked my parents. My mom was a scientist. She was very curious. She too, lifelong learner. And so, yeah, I bring in science. I collected a lot of information. I did a lot of research. And here's an example. And that is, if you're positive, it adds 7 to 8 years to your life. That's what the research says. And I think, even though it doesn't point out, I think they're going to be a lot happier years.
Yes. Yeah, not just 7 or 8, what do we say, surviving years,
Yeah.
but thriving.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
A couple of episodes back, I spoke with an architect and a professor of architecture, and I think about your analogy or metaphor of being the architect of your future and designing your own life. But what does that process look like when we apply it to our life, not just, say, a building or a house?
Yeah. Actually, where I first began thinking about that in a serious way was there's the most popular course on Stanford campus was Designing Your Life. And they invited me to be a speaker a number of years ago. Both my kids took that course there. And the Designing Your Life, the reason why it was approved on a very interesting campus, lots of choices with the religious, spiritual life, religious people going to get involved, or the career people going to be involved. These two fellows were able to get this course approved because they said this is part of mechanical engineering product design. It just so happens that the product is you.
So fascinating.
So they use all the architecture about designing a product or a service and then applied it to a person. I borrowed some chapters from their approach to this. Designing your life means, again, taking a look. What's important to you? What are your skills? What are your talents? What's important to you that you want to bring out into the world? And then you begin making some choices that may be a little out of the norm. You're not doing what everybody else is doing. I say bravo to you. You know, you're going to be different, but it works and it fits. Then I support you in that. I want you to be doing that. Just don't follow the herd. The lemmings jump together over the cliff. Who wants to do that? So designing your life is a real possibility if you're willing to drive your own bus.
Yeah.
And I like sometimes when I'm in public and speaking, I hold up a double-decker bus and I say, who's driving your bus? If you're driving your bus, you're deciding how fast to go. How many people do we hear are overwhelmed? They're going too fast. They're not smelling the roses. Or you can decide when to stop. You need to recover. You need to get out, away from burnout. When do you turn right? When do you turn left? who to invite on your bus. Wow, how important is that? And keep inviting people onto your bus. And then, very importantly, and unfortunately, it has to happen. Sometimes you got to invite people off your bus.
And that's a tough
So
one.
that's the design your life feature. The other part is very related, which is being the author of your own story. Now, it relates, as is maybe hopefully a little obvious, but when you're the author of your own story, you need to know what your story is. But then, as the author, you can decide, hey, I'm going to edit that part down. Nobody needs to know the 25 parts of it. 3-part summary is just fine. Or maybe you delete because part of your story is no longer interesting to you and other people looking around and not paying attention when you're talking about it. Maybe delete that part. So once you've done that, you've got a story you like, then you have this place where you can start writing future opportunities for yourself. Create multiple things. Wow, I could do this. I could be that. And so that's the author of your own story.
I couldn't help but think as you were talking about the Stanford course, the D school, design thinking and the engineering side of Stanford's curriculum.
Yep.
And many of us in this field of creativity think about design process. Let's break down in kind of an IDEO formula. What are the steps of this process? And it sounds like you're doing the same kind of thinking. Do I turn left? Do I turn right? Is it yes or is it no? And that each one of these intersections over time and over the course of many decisions, design your life for you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Mark. It's really an important thing. One of the elements that's part of the D School and this product design program, my son has a degree in product design, is rapid prototyping. And again, how do you apply that to yourself personally? One of the things I suggest to people, and you mentioned courage and confidence, is sometimes you got to try something new and you don't know much about it. You're leaving something you're familiar with, you're trying something new. And I say, take it on like life is in a series of experiments. Remember when you were in whatever, 8th grade, and you did a science, you were doing some kind of experiment. And sometimes it worked out, fortunately, very simply the first time. Sometimes you had to tweak it a few times. And sometimes it did not work out at all. That's what life is. Life is a series of those. It has beginnings and endings and transitions in the middle. And so if you hold it as a kind of mental place of this is an experiment, and I want to go in with my eyes open, I want to get the support I need all along the way. But hey, it could be cool. I might need to adjust it, and I might need to just drop it after some period of time. It's okay.
And have you found that this design or engineer approach or metaphor or this architecture of your life makes some of these concepts more acceptable, more approachable for some people who might not like the woo and the Oprah and the Zig Ziglars or what have you? I'm going to talk about aging myself in a minute. But when I say Zig Ziglar, that's certainly a generation of motivation. But do you find that maybe people can embrace these concepts more if they see it as a process?
I do. Thank you again for that one. I think that's really right. So a lot of this world around thriving can be a little daunting. It can be a little put your hand up with your hand saying no. I don't want to do that kind of emotional investigation work. I'm not going to sit on my own couch as if I'm getting my own therapy. I don't want to do that. Yes, I think this approach of saying, hey, we can structure this in a way that allows you to hold on. You're making the choices along the way. You decide when you want to just take a break and pause and maybe skip some part of it and come back to others later. These are all access points, on-ramps, which I think do for a lot of people make the invitation more palatable.
Yes. And a moment ago, we were talking about adding years to life and thriving, not just surviving. One of the parts of the book that caught my eye was this 10 keys to aging. And certainly at this chapter of my own life, I'm thinking about vitality, not just longevity. What were some of the key things you found in this stage of life, whether it's psychologically or emotionally, even physically, that could help us as we're thriving as we age?
When I do that talk on the 10 keys to aging, I sometimes say parentheses psychologically
Hmm.
because I'm not getting into nutrition, I'm not getting into exercise, I'm not getting into your sleep patterns, all of which of course are very important. Instead, what I talk about are one, be positive. And I already mentioned this is adding 7 to 8 years to your life. Number two, having purpose. And when I've talked to folks in retirement homes, they look at me with these big eyes and say, look, our purpose is to wake up tomorrow morning and have that yummy lunch. And I go, hey, I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy you're looking forward to lunch. But purpose is one of these things that makes people a little anxious.
Yes.
Purpose does not have to be headline grabbing. Purpose is something that adds meaning to you, something you're committed to. And it can be something as basic, but as important as just being kind and listening and going to a new person in the retirement home who has just moved in and you've been there 3 years and you say, hey, I've been here. I know the ropes. I'm more than happy to share what I've learned and some of the tricks of the trade. Just let me know. And
Yes.
people open their eyes and go, I can be that person. I can have that as a purpose. And I go, it's a noble one. It's a good one. So that's another, being grateful, having curiosity. Oh, that's so huge in life. Having humor, being able to laugh, not only at the situation, oh, it's rush hour and those construction workers are on the side of the road holding up traffic again. You could be frustrated or you can laugh at it. Of course. You can laugh at yourself as well. Oh, there's Mark again with that big smile, but he's not really smiling.
There must be something behind that.
Yeah. There are three elements to the 10 keys, which are all in the emotional health category. These are big, self-sabotaging. No, this is not a win. Yeah, listen to yourself. If you're saying, I can't do that, they won't let me do that, I don't have the whatever it takes to do the job well, that's self-sabotaging, doesn't let you get into the game. Not a good idea. Forgiveness, both of other people as well as yourself. And I walk people through that. And I suggest sometimes for other people, you just need to write it down. Be clear about what happened and not how they made you feel, but rather how you came away feeling, a little different pointing to the issue. Write down, hey, I think I deserved an apology and I didn't get one.
Hmm.
But then pause, big jump forward, but I forgive you. Oh my gosh, this enormous weight is immediately taken out of your suitcase and you can go on your trip, your life journey trip, that much better. Same with yourself. Who has not made some mistakes in life, things that they have regrets about, how they handled a situation years ago? Maybe they wouldn't handle the same situation the same way today, but they did it back then. They don't feel good about it. They've been carrying around for a long time. Got to forgive yourself. Maybe you have to make amends in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's letting go. Letting go. I thought I was so in control. Here's running my company, big company, getting awards, clients loving me. I didn't have to do marketing because the clients would send new clients to me.
Yes.
Oh, aren't I cool? Scoutmaster, all this stuff. But thanks to a terrific wife, now almost 45 years, and two amazing children, they showed me, Dad, you're actually not controlling all that you think you do. And I said, okay. So I took a look at that. And what turned out was I was controlling only four things. One, I was controlling my attitude. Two, I was controlling the amount of effort I was willing to put into something. Three, I was controlling my behavior, usually. And then four, I was making good choices, usually good choices about what actions I was going to take. Everything else after that is other people, and that's about influence. I could influence them more or less depending on how I was handling the first four things I was controlling. Number 9 is friends of all ages. I learned that from my dad. Oh boy, was he the master at that. That was amazing. Dad passed away just a year ago, and at 102. He died
Wow.
peacefully in his sleep. We buried him at Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors. Fought in World War II, in Korea and Vietnam. And he showed me, this is one of his gifts to me, have friends of all ages. He had people who were half his age who really were friends. And in my life today, I have friends who are 20 years older. And it's terrific. It adds so much. And then the last one, and I know I've been going on for a bit about this, but I think this is worth our time, is to age well, you need to be love. It's not feeling love is different. That's good if you have it. I'm happy. That's Hollywood and all those other things. I'm talking about how you are as a person. Are you being those kinds of things? Being kind and being respectful and listening well. If you are, you're going to be living and you're
Yes.
going to be aging well.
So good. Listeners, my guest is Rand Selig. He's a accomplished business person and now author of Thriving: How to Create a Happier, Healthier, and More Prosperous Life. Rand, I wanted to ask you about something you said about how we define success, and people may be in a retirement home looking for purpose. But as I think about the word thriving, often we equate that with we're climbing, we're acquiring, we're saving. I know I was often attached to the title, what was my last project? Am I getting the bigger client? Am I getting the bigger fish? How can we define thriving without getting so connected to these other societal measures?
You're just proving, Mark, what a great host you are. This is a really big question. It's such an important question for so many people. People get off track because they're looking at defining success. They're looking at trying to connect that some way to thriving by looking outside, externally. We live in two worlds. We live in the doing world and we live in the being world. And the doing world is about those titles. It's about making money. It's about spending money. It's about going on vacations. It's lots of those kinds of things. They're important. Of course they're important, except for the person who's wearing saffron robes sitting on top of a mountaintop. That's part of life, healthy life. But the other part is being a certain kind of person. And when you're being a certain kind of person, you're doing those kinds of things we're talking about. You're being at peace with yourself. You're being fulfilled. You're being the list. Go down and make your own list. It's an internal look rather than the doing world, which is external. And the magic to this is that if you start, which is very unusual but it can happen at any time, but often it happens when people get a little more mature, is if you start with being, you keep working that and then take that person out into the world to do, magically, you're going to be more impactful. You're going to have more accomplishment. You're going to have a lot less stress and you're going to be more fulfilled. And that's the way it works. But that's not the way most people navigate. They're so occupied with the doing that they give not enough attention to the being.
So good. So encouraging. Rand, I can't thank you enough for the conversation and the encouragement. Listeners, I'll put Rand's website, social channels, link to the book, and so forth, because you're going to want to check out Thriving. It's a great verb and a call to action. Rand, thanks for the call to action.
Oh, thank you again, Mark. I will just say that for those of your listeners who like to absorb a book on audio, my book is now available. It's my voice. I've recorded it, Another Adventure.
Yes.
And so you can get your ebook, your paper, you can get the audiobook. That's all available. And I'm doing a lot of speaking. So I would welcome the opportunity to speak with your group, your company, your organization, your book group, whatever it is. So please reach out.
I appreciate you bringing that up because I think, for our listeners who are in all sorts of creative fields. I think when we dedicate ourselves to a project, the size and scope of what you're doing, it's like, how many ways can I get this out? It's a message, it's a mission as much as it is a book publishing deal. Can I get my message out? And you're obviously trying a lot of different mediums.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it thoroughly. The response is extraordinary. I'm going to keep going. It is my mission to
Yes.
engage with people in all stages of life about the possibility of thriving.
Yes. Well, thanks for sharing. And thanks for I guess the one goal that I'll take away is find a way to be positive. That's a daily challenge, but also a daily choice, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right, listeners, we're going to stay positive. We'll come back again next episode. We're going to continue these round the world journeys. We've stamped our creative passport in Mill Valley, California, right outside of San Francisco today. But we'll keep traveling around the world, talking to creatives about how they get inspired and how we organize ideas. And if you've got a 300-page book that you want to do, this is how Rand first attacked his organization. But then we've got to gain the confidence and the connections to launch our work out into the world. And that's what it's all about. I want to thank our sponsor, White Cloud Coffee. They help fuel our creative conversations everywhere. And listeners, you can enjoy 10% off your first order at whitecloudcoffee.com. Just use the code CREATIVITY at checkout. And of course, you can download your free ebook of Your World of Creativity when you visit mark-stinson.com. So until next time, I'm Mark Stinson, and we'll keep unlocking your world of creativity.